Dr. Reddy, thank you very much for being with us. You're probably the most well-informed and well-read doctor that we have interviewed for a long time. One of the issues is that you can read anything. There's so much uncertainty about what COVID is all about. You can read that we'll never have another wave. You can read we'll have a moderate other wave. We'll have a large and a huge next wave. You can read anything. You can read about vaccines. They're good, they're bad. But mostly, there is a consensus that vaccines are excellent, but they tend to die away after 4 or 5 months, at least drop below 50%. And the other worry is, and I want your opinion on this, that a single vaccine, instead of a double dose, gives you only about a 33% protection. So should we be going for double dose for everybody, single dose, booster dose? Again, you can read various opinions. What is your kind of consensus opinion on this?
Well, firstly, I think we have to live with the fact that the virus is going to be staying with us for quite a while, whether in the current form or in the form of new variants. I don't think the virus is ever going to get extinguished. All we can really hope is to build up the immunity of the people so that they will not get terribly sick and the risk of hospitalization and death will be markedly reduced. And that by a variety of measures, both by building up the blockade of immunity as well as through public health measures like physical distancing, avoiding large crowds for some time to come, and masks, we will be able to create a difficult passage for the virus to transmit. And evolutionary biology tells us that if we do all this, the viruses will actually tend to become less virulent because they have less of a host to exhaust. But they may try to become more infectious. Many viruses have altered their behavior to adapt to the human community and coexist in some form. And we have to hope that this new virus, relatively new virus, will also adopt the same path. But it is our behavior that will determine its behavior. So that is important for us to recognize. And we should not get into a celebratory mood that we have extinguished the virus and become careless. Nor must we expect in a very unrealistic manner that the virus is going to permanently go away. Now, as far as the vaccines are concerned, I think the important element to remember is that our immunity is firstly fashioned by both the natural infection as well as by the vaccine. If a large number of people have been infected in the last 6 to 8 months, the likelihood is that there is a fair amount of residual immunity in them, though it will vary from person to person depending upon age, general state of health, amount of virus load they were exposed to. But the vaccine also would have given them immunity. Unfortunately, all the measurements of fading immunity have come more from antibody levels that have been measured. They do not exhaust all the antibodies against all the viral antigens, nor do they really measure the cell-mediated immunity, which might last a longer time. So the likelihood is that some amount of residual immunity may still continue to protect people. And ideally, yes, if we had an abundance of vaccines and adequate assured supply, everybody should get the 2 doses in a fairly quick time. But if we do not have that comfort right now, then we have to protect the most vulnerable people, the elderly and people with immunodeficiencies and who are otherwise also having severe comorbidities with the 2 doses, and try and spread out the single dose as fast as possible to everybody else. But the moment we get an abundance of vaccine supply, we should actually start trying to give everybody the 2 doses in the hope that that will provide continued protection even as we maintain our public health vigil. But sharing some of our supplies in the meanwhile with the rest of the world is also imperative, because unless most of the world develops that level of immunity to combat the virus, the variants can develop and creep back, breaching our defenses, and therefore the vaccine-rich countries who believe they can go for 3rd doses and 4th doses are actually going to be haunted by the variants that will develop in under-vaccinated populations and will come into their territories.
बिल्कुल, ये कॉम्प्लिकेशंस जो हैं ये बहुत सारे हैं कि आप बूस्टर शॉट लें, उस बूस्टर शॉट का फ़ायदा भी होगा नए वेरिएंट पे, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च इज़ गोइंग ऑन along these lines.